The hatch behind me sealed itself before my hand reached the plate, and I had stopped flinching at that 2 nights ago. 11 of us crossed into the unlit margin. I am the only one left who still has a voice to use. I keyed the channel out of habit. Nothing answered. Nothing had answered in 6 hours, and I no longer expected it to. We were not supposed to be here. Magistrate Verholt told Wing Commander Ashera as much, standing in the briefing dome with her hands folded the way elders fold them when they already know they will be ignored. She said the margin was not empty space, it was the seam where human space began, and seams do not stay open for the curious. She did not raise her voice. She did not need to, she had buried 2 prior expeditions in her career, and the weight of that was in every word she chose. Ashera gave her the smile of a commander with 3 decorations and no losses yet, and said the relic lattice drifting at the margin's heart was pre-contact technology worth more than the magistrate's caution. He asked her, in front of all 11 of us, whether the council preferred legends to leverage. She did not answer him. She looked at each of us instead, one at a time, the way you look at people you expect to be counting later. We launched 8 hours after that silence, 10 cadets and a wing commander who had never lost a soul under his command and intended to keep it that way by sheer force of confidence. I remember thinking the magistrate looked less afraid than tired, the way you look when you have made the same argument too many times to too many commanders who all sounded exactly like Ashera. There were 10 of us besides him. I will not list every name. I will say that Ren Oslo flew on my wing because we had trained together since the academy, and that matters to what comes next. The lattice turned out to be real, 40 meters of dead silver framework, older than either of our peoples, turning slow in a patch of starlight no chart claimed as anyone's. We should have logged it and gone home. Ashera wanted samples cut from the hull. That was the first mistake. The second was Ren Oslo, my wingmate, prying a panel loose and finding lettering stamped beneath it as small, deliberate, in characters none of our linguists had ever catalogued. He laughed about it over the open channel, said it looked like a warning label nobody had bothered to translate for anyone who might actually read it. 3 minutes later his channel cut to static mid-word. When we cycled his hatch, there was no Ren Oslo. No blood. No scorch. No struggle. His suit hung empty on its tether like a coat someone had quietly stepped out of and walked away. Ashera called it instrument failure. He ordered the rest of us back to work. By the 2nd hour, Pel Aranek stopped answering position checks. We found her boots inside the lattice's outer ring, laces still tied, standing upright on the hull plate as if she had simply risen out of them. Ashera called that a magnetic anomaly. Nobody believed him by then, but nobody said so either, because believing the alternative meant admitting the margin's old stories were not stories. Less than an hour later, Das Varen's running lights went dark mid-sweep, 200 meters off the lattice's shadowed face, and when I cut across to his position there was no wreckage to find, no debris field, no drifting suit at all, only his tether line, severed clean at both ends, coiling slowly in the starlight with nothing left to anchor. Ashera did not have a name for that one. He simply ordered the formation tighter, as though proximity to each other could be a kind of shield against something that had so far shown no interest in being seen, let alone stopped. I want to be precise about what it was not. It was not a fight. Nothing fired on us. No hull breached, no alarm screamed, no enemy ever showed itself on a single sensor sweep across 11 hours. Whatever moved among us moved the way water moves through a closed fist, you only know it was there by what is missing afterward. That is the part the warnings never tell you, the part one would tell a cadet now if I were the kind of officer who got to train one. It does not announce itself. It does not need to. Dol Ashira's voice changed somewhere around the 4th hour. I had served under him for 3 years and never once heard it crack, and it cracked twice in one sentence ordering a retreat he should have ordered at the start. We ran the long corridor back toward the shuttle bay in a formation that kept thinning at the edges no matter how tightly we held it, the way a held breath thins no matter how hard you hold it. Centavar went quiet between one doorway and the next. I watched the gap where he should have been, watched it stay empty, and kept moving because stopping felt like an invitation. 2 more names I will not speak again went quiet somewhere behind me in that same corridor, close enough that I heard the silence arrive both times, never close enough that I saw a single thing 'cause it. The shuttle bay hatch was already open when the 4 of us who were left reached it, cycling slow and deliberate, though none of us had triggered it. I remember thinking it looked less like a door breaking and more like a door being held for someone. Ashera went through first. I heard him say one more thing before the channel dropped, not a scream, not even surprise, just a flat, exhausted "oh," like a man finally agreeing with an argument he'd spent his whole career refusing to hear. Then silence where he had been standing. That left 3 of us. Then 2. I will not describe how the second one ended, because there was nothing to describe, a presence and an absence and the space between them closing without a sound, the way the margin had been closing around all of us since the moment we crossed into it, sorting us out one careful selection at a time. I reached the shuttle alone. The console was dead, the engines unresponsive, every system reading a graceful, unhurried 0, as if something had simply asked them to stop and they had agreed. I sat in the pilot's chair with my hand on a control that would not answer and waited for whatever had taken the others to finish with me too. It did not come. I do not know how long I sat there before the lighting in the bay shifted, not brighter, not threatening, just present in a way it had not been a moment before, a soft directional glow falling across the deck plate beside the chair. There was something resting on the plate that had not been there when I sat down. A small unmarked object, palm-sized, plain metal, no insignia, no manufacturer's stamp, nothing ornamental about it at all. Etched into its face was a single word in the same untranslated lettering Wren had found on the lattice, except this one had been worked beneath it in a second, careful hand, in characters our linguists do know. It read, "Enough." The engines came back online a heartbeat later, as gently as they had failed, as though nothing about either event had required effort. I did not question it. I have learned not to question generosity I cannot explain, only to use it before it reconsiders. I flew home alone. 11 launched. 1 returned, untouched, carrying a relic stamped with a word that needed no commentary from me, because I have given the council nothing else since I landed, no theory, no recommendation, no demand for retaliation. I gave them the object and the silence and let both speak. Magistrate Verholt did not say I told you so. She did not need to. She had the marker placed in the archive without ceremony, sealed it behind glass, and added 1 line to the margin's standing order, the only line the council has approved unanimously in 9 years, no further crossings, for any reason, under any rank's authority. I still do not know why I was the one sent back instead of taken. I have stopped asking. Some nights I think it was mercy. Other nights I think it was simpler than that we were never the threat worth answering, only the lesson worth delivering, and someone, or something, decided I was steady enough to carry it home in one piece. I have turned the thought over so many times it no longer cuts the way it once did, only aches the way an old wound aches before weather changes. I keep the marker's twin, a copy struck for the archive's working file, on the shelf above my desk now. I do not touch it often. But on the anniversary of the crossing, I take it down, and I read the word again, and I think of 10 names I will not let anyone else forget, and I remember that whatever holds the line at human space does not need to be seen to be obeyed. The new cadets ask me sometimes what it looked like. I tell them the truth, which is that I never saw it at all, and that this is the only fact about the margin that has ever frightened me more than the silence did. It only needs you to come close enough once.